Now, we've been talking about the FCA, we've been talking about B Corp, we've been talking about the agenda that has run through much of our corporate world that led directly to my debanking by Coutts, part of the NatWest Group. And I'm joined now by Humperdinck Jackman, Managing Director of ESG Pro Limited, a global advisory firm on climate, ESG and on B Corp. Humperdinck, welcome to the programme. Now, I was looking at your blurb here, and it said about your company, many firms come to us seeking support for their in-house sustainability managers. Now, I suppose this is English, but what on earth is an in-house sustainability manager? Why do firms need them?
Now, ESG's been around since 2004, Nigel.
Doesn't mean it's right.
Doesn't mean it's right. What the problem with ESG and all of this woke capitalism, that's the phrase you've coined, it's brilliant, corporate wokery, is the large corporations are twisting how they present themselves. They're actually committing a form of fraud. It's greenwashing and social washing to exaggerate the value of their businesses, their reputations, pretending that they're something they're not.
Right, so they pretend they pretend they're doing things for climate change, and they pretend that they've got employment policies in line with a variety of quotas on race and sexuality. But what you're saying is they're not really doing it.
Jeff, the big corporations are fudging it. They're supposed to tell you in their reports how many incidents of corruption, discrimination, data breaches. They're supposed to tell you how many, what was the outcome, the facts. Now they're just glossing over it and saying, oh, we take corruption very seriously. We take your privacy seriously. Now, the smaller businesses who aren't so well financed, they need help because they're competing with the big corporations. And to level the playing field, these smaller businesses, right the way down to micro SMEs, up to even quite large firms, 1,000 or 2,000 people, they need to level the playing field. With services such as ours, they can actually gain an ESG rating. They can compete honestly.
And so what you're saying to me is that this is now so deeply embedded in the corporate world, in the private sector, that without an ESG rating, it's tough to get business.
It can be very tough. The City of London places a weighting of up to 30% on tenders.
But this is just surely, Humperdinck, insane. Surely the basic function of private business is to make profits, to operate within the law, and to return a dividend or whatever it may be to their investors and shareholders. Aren't they the fundamentals upon which we built our economic model?
Make more money. It's good. Now, here's the interesting thing. The smaller business, when they align with ESG principles, when they do proper reporting, on average, businesses which have done this generate 67% more return on the equity.
Why?
Well, they've done things like business continuity planning. They've looked at their risks. They've looked at their supply chain.
But that's good management of a business.
That's what ESG is.
But hang on a second. There's a big difference here between being well-structured and well-planned and having contingencies for what may happen in the market and meeting diversity and inclusion quotas. They're different things.
The corporate wokery would have you believe that ESG is all about diversity and inclusion, which is not always a bad thing. We employ disabled people. Great.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
Diversity. It's a good thing. But ESG is also about good governance. And if a well-governed company means that, for instance, when the pandemic hit, we all went into lockdown and we couldn't call our bank or we couldn't call HMRC or anybody else, even the garden centre, because they couldn't transfer a phone call.
I get that.
Is bad governance.
I get the G bit of it.
Right.
Governance.
Okay.
Good governance and good business practices. And if companies like yours are there to help and advise people as to what, they're new entrants to a marketplace, they want a bit of help. I get all of that, and I can see that good management, good leadership, it makes a big difference to a cricket team, let alone to a good company. But the environmental stuff, the social stuff, the almost pushing people to employ and promote, not on the basis of ability, but on the basis of identity. That's where I have the problem.
And me too.
All right, okay.
This topic scares some clients. What, you mean we have to just hire the next person who comes in, because even if they're not the best qualified? Look, no. The answer is that is part of what you need to look after your people. ESG is about looking after the people you employ, making sure they don't, you minimize the risk of accidents, that you pay a fair wage, that they actually take holidays, that they get sensible benefits. That's
fine.
That's good governance.
That's
though.
fine.
That's
I haven't got a problem with the G bit. I haven't got a problem with that. It's the idea.
That's the social.
But the idea that the FCA are putting out into the financial industry is that financial firms have a responsibility towards the environment, and because of that, we finish up, with people that working in the oil industry, for argument's sake, legitimate, legal, necessary, being debanked. That's what I'm arguing.
And who's doing the debanking? The organisations who are not being honest in their ESG reporting in the first place.
So the whole thing's a corporate fraud from start to finish.
It's an accounting fraud at the top. The smaller business, 81% of consumers want to buy a sustainable product from a decent company who treats people well. They're willing to pay a 9% premium on average for purchasing those products or services. Now, that helps our smaller businesses. The little man out there who's growing a business, the small firm which is growing steadily, it could be employing several hundred people. Construction companies love this topic because it actually does win them business.
Interesting.
Without being...
Yeah. I tell you what, Humperdinck, I want to buy line-caught mackerel as opposed to mackerel that's been caught in a great big factory ship, or mackerel I haven't caught myself. I get the point. We want things that work. I just worry that with B Corp and with the reason I was debanked, I worry that maybe this gets taken a bit too far. Fascinating subject. Thank you for coming in and joining me. And that was a different take, wasn't it? That actually, they all talk this language, but in reality, many of them don't actually do it.